because I always reference this, but I don't think Americans quite understand it. On January 28th of this year, the Chinese ambassador to the United States gave an interview to National Public Radio. And he said that if the United States continues to behave the way they are vis-a-vis China, war with America, between America and China, is going to happen. Now, what's important about that is, one, you have a Chinese ambassador saying, we're going to go to war against you. That's never happened before, ever. And he's saying it on American soil, through an American outlet. It's as clear as day that he's saying, please stop what you're doing, or else we're going to have to kick your butt. Because China, like Russia, doesn't enter these things half-cocked. If China's going to go to war, it's because they're ready to go to war on their terms, and they are going to win decisively. Or to quote their Minister of Defense, we are going to kick the smithereens out of you. But the other important thing is the date. That statement was made on January 28th. You have to understand that the ambassador would not speak unless he was authorized to say these words by the Chinese government after it had been carefully vetted through the totality of the Chinese bureaucracy, which includes their foreign ministry, which means that China pre-cleared those words with Russia. Because if you think the first time Putin and Xi talked about that 5,000-word statement they released was on February 4th, you don't know anything about Russia and China. That statement was months in the making. I would bet that statement was starting to be drafted on June 17th, 2021. So they've been working on this statement. They've been working on the policy to back the statement up. Again, they don't speak and then try to craft policy. The entire game board was set on February 4th. And it's set not just for what Putin did in Ukraine, but what China's getting ready to do to Taiwan. I'll make a prediction here. By the end of the year, China will have militarily occupied Taiwan. China's going to war against Taiwan right now. Decision's been made. Why? Because the Americans are the dumbest people on the face of the earth. Because when the Chinese repeatedly call us up and say, shut up, just shut your mouths. Don't say another word, because you obviously haven't read our Constitution and the laws attached to our Constitution. We have a law that was promulgated on 2005 that says the moment the Taiwanese start even thinking about independence, we're going to knock them off the face of the earth. That we prefer peaceful outcome. We prefer the peaceful reunification. But if you put it in their heads that they think they can be independent, and they start acting on that, or if you start acting as if they are independent, we will blow them off the face of the earth. And if you come at us, we're going to take you out too. And they've been saying this. This isn't beating around the bush. They're saying it straight up. Shut up or you're going to die. Die. Real death. The American fleet's going to be sunk. And what are we doing? We're just bungling along as if, well, it's just the Chinese. They're just saying things. They never really did this before. They're not going to do it again. No. They're going to kick our butts because, like the Russians, and this is the thing we have to learn about this special military operation, it wasn't a knee-jerk, sudden thing where Putin said, called it the military, invade Ukraine today. No, what we're finding out, again, they had an interview of the Russian defense industry guy. And someone said, well, the West says you're running out of missiles. Really? No, we're cranking them out at full speed, baby. We've been preparing for this for a long time. We've been knowing this is coming for a long time. None of this is taking us by surprise. Nothing is taking Russia by surprise. Nothing. This war is going on their pace, and it'll be won when they decide it's over, not when anybody else decides. Macron and Draghi and all these other idiots can fly to Kiev and talk about a diplomatic off-ramp. Off what? Russia ain't going to stop.
No, I think Scott, as usual, is exactly right, stressing that it's highly unusual for the Chinese ambassador to give an interview saying, it looks like we're going to be at war with the United States in New York or wherever he was making that statement. I mean, yeah. The other thing, and the thing I put equal weight on, is that the fellow who I can consider the best expert on China. His name is Chaz Freeman. He says it's likely to be war between the U.S. and China.
Policy is to make the society stable and safe.
I want to ask about Taiwan, which is something that your foreign minister this week has brought up with Secretary of State Antony Blinken. If people don't know, I want to remind them the United States has agreed with China that there is one China, that Taiwan is part of China.
Yes.
At the moment, of course, there are two governments, and the United States has argued that Taiwan's future should be determined by the Taiwanese people. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. One China policy is the most important foundation of China-U.S. relations. The government of the People's Republic of China is the sole legal government representing China. But recently, we have seen the escalation of tension in the situation across Taiwan Straits. This is because the Taiwanese authority is trying to seek its independence agenda by borrowing the support and the encouragement of the United States. And the United States is playing a Taiwan card.
Playing the Taiwan card.
To contain China.
To contain China.
To contain China. What that means? The United States has been walking away bit a bit from its commitment by increasing its official links, even upgrading them, by selling more advanced weaponries to Taiwan, by even sending soldiers landing on Taiwan.
There is much fear in the United States of an eventual effort by China to resolve this matter militarily, to attack Taiwan. Should Americans be concerned about a Chinese attack on Taiwan?
Well, let me say this. People on both sides of Taiwan Straits are Chinese, so we are compatriots. So the last thing we'll do is to fight with our compatriots. And we will do our utmost in the greatest sincerity to achieve a peaceful reunification. But as I said, Taiwanese authority is walking down the road towards the independence emboldened by the United States. So China will not commit to giving up the unpeaceful means for reunification because this is deterrence. Let me emphasize this. The Taiwan issue is the biggest tinderbox between China and the United States. If, the Taiwanese authorities, emboldened by the United States, keep going down the road for independence, it most likely involve China and the United States, the two big countries, in the military conflict.
We've been listening to Qin Gang, China's ambassador to the United States, who made some news right there when he warned of the danger of military conflict. We called NPR's John Ruwitch, who covers China. And John, what do you hear there?
Yeah, Qin was very explicit. Chinese officials have for years warned in vague terms that by taking steps that Beijing sees as encouraging Taiwan independence, the U.S. is playing with fire, is going to face consequences, these kinds of things. But he connected the dots and said, basically, if you keep doing this, there will be military conflict.
The ambassador also says Taiwan is walking down the road toward independence. Is that really true?
Well, Taiwan's been self-governed for years. I mean, the people on Taiwan increasingly see themselves as separate from China. The current president, Tsai Ing-wen, is from a political party that's historically espoused declaring independence. That's why China...
I give the chance of the war in Europe going nuclear 0%. Because Putin's just winning. It's everything. We don't want to put it back up against the wall. Dude, the wall's 400 miles that way, and he's moving this way. His back will never be up against the wall. He's beating you on every front. NATO is literally emptying its armories to support Ukraine, and it's just like throwing good money after bad. Russia's going to have, when this is done, about $20 billion worth of NATO's finest military equipment in its possession. Thank you, U.S. taxpayer. Thank you, French taxpayer. We're stupid. There's no chance of this going nuclear. None from the Russian perspective. Here's where I really get scared. Because the United States isn't smart enough to keep the Pacific Fleet in port. We've never been that smart. And we're going to have to make a demonstration when China waxes the crap out of Taiwan, as they're getting ready to do. It will not even be close. The Taiwanese are not the Ukrainian. They can't fight. They can't sustain the fight. They don't know how to fight. They don't want to fight. They will be slaughtered. It will be ugly. The Chinese are going to go indecisive. There will not be a special military operation. I think they're going to come in hard because they have to. This is an amphibious assault. Once you start an amphibious assault, a little bit about this, you got to come in with everything and just keep it going. You know what? We don't have an amphibious assault. And normally in military planning, you have this thing called the withdrawal, the retreat. You can't in an amphibious assault. Once you commit, it's fight or die. So China isn't going in there saying, we're oh, God, we bit off more with you, we're coming out. No, it's in all the way with everything. It's done. That's how you do amphibious operations. And the United States are going to go, oh, send the fleet. And the Chinese are going to go, that fleet ain't getting anywhere close, guys. We're going to warn you, red line, boom, it's all sunk. And what happens when a nuclear power carrier goes down with 6,000 men? And its battle group, by the way. So let's just call it 14,000 dead Americans that quick. Do we accept it? Or does some idiot say, we have to make a demonstration, we're going to fire, that new W-76-2 low-yield nuclear weapon. We're going to send a signal to the Chinese. Take out a port city in Hunan province. Boom, nuclear weapon goes off in Hunan. Chinese are going to go, oh, yeah, that's okay, no big deal. No, boom, Los Angeles is gone. Boom, Shanghai's gone. Boom, Seattle, Denver's gone. Then it's over. I give it over 70% chance of that happening, which means the world ends. The world's goodbye. And I said we're going to war. China's going to war with Taiwan by the end of the year. We may be lucky to see the new year. And I don't mean to be alarmist, but we have morons in Washington, D.C. People, the United States has signed a statement earlier this year, all 5 major nuclear powers. Nuclear war cannot be won, therefore nuclear war will never be fought. Really? Then why did we build the W-76-2 low-yield nuclear weapon? Why did Mark Esper, when he was the Secretary of Defense, speaking on behalf of the nuclear policy of the United States, say that the purpose of this weapon is to give the President of the United States options when it comes to nuclear war so that we can fight and win a nuclear war? That's the Secretary of Defense of the United States speaking based upon a policy of the United States, which under Biden didn't change. Biden promised he was going to look at it. Biden didn't change a word. Nuclear posture is the exact same one that was in place when Esper said that. So we think initiate a nuclear strike to escalate, to de-escalate, to control this. And we can't. It's going to be all over. And if we're not talking about it now, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is this has to be part of the conversation now. It's too late once the nuke's gone off. We need Congress now to come to the president and say, yes, Mr. President, Taiwan will never go nuclear, right? Right, Mr. President? Right? We need Lloyd Austin to say what Esper said is no longer valid. We don't plan to fight and win nuclear conflict. A nuclear war can never be fought. Re-emphasizing that. No matter what happens, we will not go to nuclear. We need that conversation right now as a nation, or it's all over. Literally. I apologize, but I'd like to see 2023. My daughter's getting married that year. I'd like it to happen.
Yeah, how about that? Ray McGovern.
Yeah, just a couple of fine points here. I'm glad that I moved out of the Washington, D.C. area. Thanks for the warning, Scott. Now, most Americans don't know that Japan is still at war with Russia. Anybody not know that? There's no peace treaty. No peace treaty. And that's because Russia seized 4, and I used to be expert in this, okay? I know the islands. Habamai, Shikotan, Yisurofu, and Kunashiri. How about that? 4 northern territories, they call them, under Russian control after the war, okay? Now, the Japanese are making strange sounds now. They're on the border of being irresponsible. And, the state of war still exists here, and that demonstration, joint Russia China demonstration flight, or like a bunch of aircraft, I believe, that happened precisely when who was in that part of the world? I think it was a fellow named Joe Biden. Hello, how more blatant can it be that these people are willing not only to advertise their capability, but to say, look, we warn you now, don't mess around with both of us. We're together on this. I would not put out of the area of possibility that there would be joint Chinese-Russian patrols in the Black Sea before we know it. That's how, that's when it, so, in other words, I agree with Scott completely about the emphasis on nuclear war. How can you have a defense minister saying we can fight and win it, and the principled position by all nuclear powers, no, there can never be one? I mean, I'm confused as an American. Can we win it or can we not win it? If what does Austin say? It would be nice, Scott, as you suggest, to get Austin on record as to whether he thinks we could win a nuclear war.
I doubt he even knows we have a W-76-2 warhead loaded on Trident nuclear submarines.
And that's
Sorry.
made by Raytheon. He's all for more of them. Let's go to